This is a wild time to be a Detroit Lions fan. They're the most dominant team in the National Football League. And teams should be terrified of the Detroit Lions, at least what they can do offensively, but what they've been doing defensively. I mean, they shut down the Houston Texans in the second half last week to come back in an ugly game, and they found a way to win, although they didn't play their best, especially in the first half. And then you have this week, they're favored by 14 points, and they should have been favored by more. And that was the biggest line of the year. And many people, including myself, looked at that line and said, wow, that is a hefty line. And then you watch the game, and you're like, oh, yeah, they should have been favored by probably another 2 touchdowns. As always, this video is brought to you guys by BetUS. But the Lions, to me, are in a class of their own. The NFC, to me, is pretty much set up for the Lions to go to the Super Bowl. I just don't know who in the NFC can challenge this team. And I'm being completely serious. There's the Lions, you have the Eagles, but the Eagles have been dysfunctional all year. The Lions have been consistent. You have other teams in the NFC that have been solid. I mean, even the Falcons are on a losing streak. The Rams are starting to win some games. They're a good team, but the Lions are just more talented and especially have a higher ceiling offensively and defensively. And the 49ers dropped another one. They lost to the Seahawks, and they looked ugly. And they don't have Brandon Ayuk for the rest of the year, and Christian McCaffrey doesn't look like himself. So when you really look at the NFC, the Lions are in their own class. The only wide open conference is the AFC. And then you look at this Kansas City Chiefs and Buffalo Bills game, and many power rankings, including the ones we do on this show, have the Chiefs at 2. But then you're looking at it and you're going, the Lions would beat this team. Like, what? The Bills should have won by a bigger margin. You know, Josh Allen threw a turnover. He threw an interception on 4th down, which led to a scoring drive by the Chiefs. But that should have never happened. The score looked a lot closer than it actually was. The Lions are dominant. And the NFL put this out on X with their 52-6 victory today. The Lions are the 3rd team in the Super Bowl era with 3 wins of 35-plus points in their first 10 games of a season. They joined the 1973 Falcons and 1969 Vikings. They are dominating NFL teams, teams that they should dominate. And guys, like, this is the NFL. It's week to week. Every week you see heavy lines favoring in one direction or the other. One team's favored by a touchdown, maybe 10 points, and they lose. We do pick'ems every Friday, and I'm picking spreads that are heavy, and I end up losing. Like, the league is a lot closer than what the Lions have been displaying. Like, the Lions have causing NFL fans to have this skewed mindset of what games should look like. There's no way on a typical week-to-week basis, if a team's favored by 14, they should cover. And the Lions did. What's going on, guys? I interrupted today's video to tell you about the sponsor of today's video, and that is BetUS. Right now, 150% on your first deposit, 125% on your second and third deposit, up to $2,000 using the code YouTube150. The bet I am doing today is the obvious one. Detroit Lions to win the Super Bowl. They're favorites, plus 400. You might as well get in on it. Putting $100 to win 400, it is the easiest bet. Because you know why? They're going to win the Super Bowl. And remember, bet responsibly. Don't bet anything you're not already willing to use. Let's get back to the video. Boy, did they cover. They won 52-6. Like, they didn't just cover. They dominated. Absolutely dominated. And they probably just got Doug Peterson officially fired. So what they are doing, being favorites to win the Super Bowl, absolutely they should be. You know, like I mentioned before, the NFC is what it is. I just don't see a team that can challenge them. But I look at some of these AFC teams, and yeah, the quarterback plays great. I mean, Josh Allen's incredible. Lamar Jackson's incredible. But when you really look at it, the way Jared Goff is playing right now is spectacular. 400-plus yards, 4 TDs, perfect passer rating. I mean, he's balling. He's balling. I know he's coming off the 5-interception game, but again, that's not something you look at and your takeaways, you're concerned about Goff. If you watch that game, it was not what the stats displayed. For really the whole year, he's been excellent. But the reason why I feel so confident in this Lions team is because they can beat you in so many different ways. And Tom Brady's talked about this before. Offensively, depending on where they go, they can travel. If it's bad, inclement weather, they can run the ball. They can dominate in the trenches. Oh, you want to play more of a finesse game. Oh, okay. Well, Amon-Ra can get 100 yards. They didn't have Sam Laporta, and J-Mo got 100 yards. And they'll get Sam Laporta back, who's one of the best tight ends in the National Football League. And they have guys that are capable, to make plays in the passing game. And you have this offensive line that can pass protect so well. They're the best offensive line for a reason. They can do both. They can run block and pass block at an elite level. So that's why when you have to travel, which I don't think they will in the playoffs because they'll have home field advantage, but regardless, they can beat you anyway, anywhere. And that's what makes them so dangerous. And defensively, people like to bring up, at least early in the year, in the passing yards and all that, they held the Jags under, 200 yards of offense. Of offense, guys. That's dominant. The defense is playing excellent without Aiden Hutchinson. And then you saw Zadarius Smith and his impact. He was great. He had his sack. But more than that, the defense, man, this is a unit that is capable. It is. And this is a unit that I trust in a Super Bowl matchup with whoever they're playing. And yeah, they will be tested more in the regular season. There'll be better quarterbacks they'll face, like the Buffalo Bills. I'm excited to see that matchup. But this Lions team, as a complete team, special teams. I didn't even mention special teams. You have Jake Bates playing the way he is. Jack Fox, one of the best punters in football. And you have a special teams unit that is excellent. Khalif Raymond. And you have the guys like Vaki delivering hits and special teams. Jerm will be back. They are a complete team. And it's crazy as a Lions fan to watch these types of games, like these dominating wins, and just be like, yeah, this is what life is now. This is the Lions. This is what they do. This is what we should expect to happen. I mean, they're basically, I checked the last line that I checked. I'm not sure if it changed, but a 10-point favorite on the road facing the Colts, who just beat the Jets. It's incredible. This team is spectacular. I mean, they really are. They're so well coached. I mean, Aaron Glenn, Ben Johnson, Dan Campbell, one of the best coaching staffs in the NFL. This is a Super Bowl roster, and it's so crazy because they don't have Aiden Hutchinson. And it makes you think, if they had Aiden, how much more dominant they would be, especially on defense. But they can still win without him, which is crazy to say. I watched the San Francisco 49ers lose Nick Bosa yesterday, and the Seahawks scored twice. They moved the ball up and down the field pretty effortlessly. Geno Smith had some huge scrambles, but they took down the 49ers when Nick Bosa left the game. Aiden Hutchinson got hurt, and the Lions are still dominating teams. I mean, and I'm not trying to, discredit the value of Aiden, but what I'm trying to say is this team just finds a way to win, and not just win, but open up a can of kick ass, whoop ass, whatever terminology you want to use. It's so impressive. It really is. And this team, they have to keep this up. You want to be playing this way when the playoffs come, because I'm telling you, if they're playing this way, they're going to run through the NFC. I don't know who can match up with them. I'm curious. The Eagles, at least their run defense is decent, but they've shown they can be leaky. So it's like, who can take them down? I mean, seriously, I don't know. I don't know. And with the way they're turning the ball over, Patrick Mahomes is giving free interceptions out every week. If they if they match up with the Chiefs, I know it'll be the Super Bowl, different game, and he's an incredible player. But you're telling me Mahomes ain't going to throw one or two to Brian Branch or Kirby Joseph? These guys are taking the ball away at a historic pace. I mean, they are incredible. So, and they're going to get Anzalone back for the playoffs. Guys, I don't know a weakness with this team. I don't. The run defense is back. So back. So on top of that, it's going to be hard. You're going to need the Lions, if you're their opponent, to basically beat themselves. That's what you're going to need to happen. You're going to need to force them to make mistakes. Because if they're not making a bunch of mistakes, they're still going to find a way to win. And even if they do, they'll win. I don't know. They're going to have to they're going to have bad days. I still think they'll lose a game or two. It's the NFL. There could be a game where you just aren't playing your best, or guys go down for a game, or whatever. You just never know. But I'm talking about big picture. Like if they drop a game or two, I will not care. They're still going to run through the NFC. It does not change. They're still in their own class. But man, this is the most dominant team I've ever seen in my lifetime. It's in here in Detroit. It's the most dominant team. And I think the most dominant offense I've ever witnessed, personally. I'm 24 years old. So I mean, many people can speak to that more so than I can. But this offense to me is the most dangerous offense I have ever laid eyes on. It is scary. And I know you bring up, well, what about the Chiefs with Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, and Travis Kelce? Yeah, but in terms of a complete offense, like I'm not talking about the sexy plays. I'm talking about as a unit. Offensive line, best in the league. Running back duo, best in the league. Amon-Ra St. Brown, he's a top 5 receiver. He's up there. Jamison Williams is very underrated, explosive. He's going to always get some big play throughout the game. Sam Laporta, one of the best tight ends in football. And then you have Jared Goff, who's easily one of the best quarterbacks in the National Football League. I think the best quarterback, top 2, if not 1, in the NFC. So you have a stacked offense. I mean, it's unbelievable. Most dominant offense I've ever witnessed. And it's an exciting time to be a Lions fan. I mean, as always, videos brought to you guys by BetUS. We'll break this down more in depth tonight on our show. But what do you guys think about really big picture? NFC, playoffs. I know they'll probably get the number 1 seed, but who they face in the Super Bowl? You Lions fans should be at an all-time confidence level. All-time confidence level. I mean, they are playing great football. And you hope they continue this throughout the entirety of the regular season and get really even more hot before the playoffs. You don't want to see anything regress. But what a way to respond for Ben Johnson in the offense after last week. It was incredible. AG, Ben Johnson, Dan Campbell. This team is special. It really is. I appreciate you guys. I will catch you tonight. Tune in. We'll be live talking to some Lions beat reporters like Corey Woods, breaking it down for us. Until then, I will catch you. Hey, what's going on there? It's Jeff Iafrate. Appreciate you for finishing the video. You can check out one of the videos here suggested or show support by commenting, liking, and subscribing. And buy your merchandise, officialctsports.com.